the wounded fawn. The battlefield was silent now, save for the soft hiss of cooling metal and the distant crackle of fire. Sergeant Mason Kade moved cautiously, pulse rifle sweeping across the shattered ruin of what had once been a Varkari forward position. Snow fell like ash, gentle and deceptive, dusting the corpses of both human and alien alike. He was alone, again. His squad had been wiped out 2 days ago in an ambush. The evac ship had pulled away, assuming him dead. He didn't blame them. On a planet like Zarthal, death was more punctual than reinforcements. Mason stepped over a mangled Varkari soldier, its feline-like features frozen in a snarl. Their warriors were fast, strong, and lethal. Predators in every sense. He had seen them tear through human marines like paper. No mercy, no prisoners. He almost missed the sound, a faint wheeze like wind through a reed. Mason froze, weapons snapping to the source. There, half buried under the wreckage of a drop pod, lay a body. Not human. A Varkari female, taller than him even while slumped, her dark crimson armor shattered, one arm limp and useless. Her silver eyes blinked open with effort. Blood ran from the corner of her mouth. She was beautiful in a dangerous, alien way. Her ears twitched. Her clawed fingers reached weakly for a blade that wasn't there. He raised his rifle. Her eyes didn't flinch. No plea, no fear, until her lips moved and her voice, thick with accent and pain, slipped into halting Terran. "Don't kill me, human." She coughed blood, grimaced, and then forced out words that made Mason's breath catch. "I'll warm your bed." For a moment, silence returned, only louder now, deafening in its weight. He stared at her, trying to decide if he'd misheard. But no, she had said it, offered herself, not as a soldier, not as a threat, as something else entirely. She expected death, and instead of begging, she offered value, in the only way her people knew in defeat. Mason exhaled slowly, his rifle still trained on her. "You really think that'll work?" She didn't answer, but her posture shifted subtly, lowering her head. Submission. The ultimate disgrace for a Varkari warrior. No one had ever seen it and lived to speak of it. He stepped closer, cautiously. Her body trembled, not from fear, hypothermia. Even Varkari fur couldn't hold up against Zarthal's frozen nights for long. "Name," he demanded. Her breathing hitched. "Arkura, fifth claw of the moon blood pride." "That mean anything?" "Not anymore." A soft rasp. "They are all dead." Mason looked up at the broken sky. The storm clouds thickened. Nightfall would kill them both if they stayed exposed. He had a decision to make. Leave her and survive alone, or share warmth with an enemy who had likely killed humans with her own hands. Yet she had begged, surrendered. In her culture, that meant she had already given up her right to live. "Why?" he asked quietly. Her eyelids fluttered. "Because I knew you wouldn't kill me. You don't know me." "No," she said, "but I know you're kind, soft-hearted, merciful." He almost laughed. "Lady, I've broken necks with my hands. Don't mistake survival for mercy." Still, he lowered the rifle. Minutes later, he had dug her out, hoisted her over his shoulder, and begun the long trek toward the nearby ridge caves. She didn't resist. She didn't speak. As the wind howled around them, Mason adjusted her weight and muttered under his breath, "I don't need a bed warmer, alien." From behind him, her voice came faintly. "You will tonight. The bed of coals." The cave was little more than a crack in a rock, but it was dry and shielded from the wind. Mason had used it before. An old thermal vent system ran underneath, pumping faint warmth through the stone floor. It wasn't much, but it kept frostbite at bay. He laid Varkari down beside the flickering emergency heat lamp and stripped her ruined armor carefully. Her breathing was shallow, her fur matted with blood and frost. Claw marks and shrapnel wounds ran along her ribs. She didn't wince or resist. He'd seen plenty of Varkari corpses, but never one this close, alive. Her physiology was brutal and elegant, cords of muscle beneath sleek fur, long limbs built for violence. But right now, she looked more animal than warrior, just another wounded creature trying not to die. Mason ripped open his last medkit and got to work. Hold still, he muttered. I am not moving, she rasped. He glanced at her face. Her silver eyes were dull but alert, watching him not like prey, but like a soldier gauging threat and intent. Her pride wasn't gone, just buried beneath exhaustion. He sprayed the disinfectant foam across her wounds. She hissed. Pain is temporary. Lucky you, Mason replied. My last girlfriend said the same thing. Then she stabbed me with a fork. Varkari blinked. A mating ritual? He almost laughed. Something like that. An hour passed in silence, broken only by the howl of the wind beyond the rocks. Mason wrapped her in one of the thermal blankets, then settled down on the opposite wall. His coat was thin. Heat was already draining from his fingers. You are cold, she said suddenly. I'll live. Barely. She shifted, dragging the blanket partially toward the center of the space. Come closer. Share heat. Mason raised a brow. Is this that bed-warming thing again? Yes. A pause. But not for mating. For survival. He hesitated. The idea of lying down next to an enemy, a Varkari, was madness. But the air was freezing, and she wasn't wrong. She ran hot, biologically speaking. He could already feel it from across the cave. Grunting, he crawled over and lay beside her, careful not to touch. Varkari slowly curled toward him, her body radiating warmth like a furnace. You smell strange. Like rust and fire. That's war and bad coffee, he replied. You smell like wet fur and murder. She bared her fangs in something between a grin and a grimace. Acceptable. They lay still for a long time. Mason's body finally stopped shaking. Her warmth was real. Natural. It crept through him like thawing ice. He glanced at her. Why did you really say that? On the battlefield. She didn't respond right away. Her voice came softer this time. Because I knew I had lost. My death was earned. But my blood was hot. My body remembered life. And you hesitated. You made me hesitate. Then I won. He chuckled. Just don't get any ideas. This is a one-time deal. No, she said firmly. This is survival pact. You saved me. Now we are bound. I will repay you. Repay me by not stabbing me in my sleep. That is already implied. Mason let silence settle again. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. Sharing warmth with a predator, listening to her speak like a person instead of a monster. And yet, she wasn't what he'd been told. She bled. She feared. She joked. She chose to live. I don't need a servant, he muttered. I am no servant, she said. But I am yours until my debt is fulfilled. Mason didn't reply. He couldn't. He just closed his eyes, and for the first time in days, slept without his rifle in his arms. The heat between fangs. The cold wind bit at Mason's exposed skin as he scanned a frozen valley below. Dawn had cracked open the sky, revealing a faint outline of the ruined communications tower in the distance, just over 2 clicks out, across open ground. If he and Varkari were going to signal for rescue, that was their best shot. But it would be dangerous. Open ground meant visibility, and visibility meant death. Behind him, Varkari limped toward him, her wounds half-healed, covered in crude wraps of salvaged cloth. She still moved like a warrior, even with a stiff leg and one arm hanging awkwardly at her side. You should stay here, Mason said without turning. I should do many things, she replied, her voice firmer now. But I will not leave my heat source unguarded. Mason rolled his eyes. You're calling me a heat source now? It is what you are. A loud, irritating, fragile heat source. Her ears flicked. But mine. They began the slow march toward the tower. Mason kept his rifle low, eyes scanning for movement. The silence was deceptive. Zarthal didn't stay quiet for long. Varkari kept pace beside him, every step sending jolts of pain through her battered frame. But she said nothing. He admired that. Humans talked, complained. Varkari endured. Back on Earth, Mason said after a while, we have this thing called sarcasm. You're picking it up fast. I adapt. Faster than humans, I think. He smirked. You're not wrong. As they reached the outskirts of a frozen ravine, the snow shifted and then exploded. A pack of scavenger beasts burst from beneath the ice, all claws and fangs. Too many. Mason fired first, dropping the lead creature with a clean shot. The others swarmed. He didn't see Varkari move, just a blur of fur and fury. Despite her injuries, she tore into them with teeth and claws, a primal snarl echoing across the rocks. One beast lunged at Mason's throat, then crumpled as Varkari's claws slashed through its spine. She landed beside him, panting, wounded again. "You all right?" Mason asked, reloading. "I bleed," she growled, "but I stand." "Good enough." When the last beast fell, silence returned, this time darker. Mason knelt beside her. Blood seeped from her side again. "You're going to get yourself killed." "I'm already dead," she said simply. "I live only because you allow it." "Damn it, Varkari." He pressed a hand to her wound. "You're not my responsibility." She met his gaze, eyes glowing faintly. "You warmed me. Now I warm you with my life." Back in the cave that night, they sat close by the heat lamp. Her movements were slower now, her breathing labored, but there was still a fire in her eyes. "I fought beside you today," Mason said. "You fought well." He hesitated. "You protected me. You didn't have to." She tilted her head. "In Varkari culture, warmth is sacred. It is exchanged between warriors after battle. In life or in death. You gave warmth. You earned loyalty." Mason looked at her, truly looked, past the claws, past the fangs, past the alien features. There was something there. Something raw. Unspoken. "You said something earlier," he murmured. "About being mine." "Yes." "Is that a debt?" "No," a long pause. "It is a choice." He didn't respond. The firelight danced between them, casting long shadows on the cave walls. Then, softly, she touched his chest, just a light brush with her clawed fingers. A warrior's gesture. Not possession. Recognition. "You are not like the others," she whispered. "Neither are you." They didn't kiss. Didn't speak further. They just lay down, side by side, the heat between them no longer just survival. It was something else, to warm the heart of war. The wind shrieked around the skeletal remains of the communications tower, metal groaning under the strain of years in war. Mason boosted Varkari up the frozen slope, one hand gripping his rifle, the other bracing her as they moved toward the collapsed platform. Her breath steamed in the frigid air, uneven. The wound from the scavenger attack had opened again, but she didn't complain. She wouldn't. Not in front of him. "You need to rest," Mason said. She growled low in her throat. "No, not yet." They reached the tower base. Mason kicked open a corroded hatch and pulled her inside. The interior was a hollow husk, torn wiring, shattered consoles, and the skeletal remains of whoever had last tried to use it. He guided Varkari to a rusted seat and turned toward the broken comms panel. After some coaxing and a battery cell from his gear, the screen flickered to life, blue light flickering weakly. "Just one signal," he muttered. "One ping. Someone has to be listening." He tapped the transmit sequence, recorded a short SOS message, and sent on all available bands. Then nothing. Just static. He sank to the floor beside her, chest heaving. It was all he had left. Everything else was gone. Varkari leaned against the cold wall, watching him. "You risked your life for me. I didn't do it for you." She studied his face. "But you stayed. You chose." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I did." Silence wrapped around them like a second skin. Outside, the wind began to die down. Snow drifted in lazy spirals across the shattered window. Inside, something fragile began to bloom, warmer than body heat. "Trust." She looked away. "When I offer myself to you, it was not only to survive. It was because I sensed something." Mason turned. "What?" "Your mercy," she whispered. "No Varkari would have spared me. No human I had met before would have, either. I almost didn't, but you did. And when you touched me, I felt no cruelty, only fire." He swallowed hard. "I thought you were trying to manipulate me." "I was. At first." Her voice dropped. "Then I wanted to live. With you." They sat there, broken warrior and broken man, bound by shared wounds. Not love. Not yet. But something older. Something sacred. A sharp beep split the air. The terminal blinked. Incoming signal. Mason scrambled up, eyes wide. "It's Earth Command. Dropship en route. ETA 12 minutes. He looked at Varkari. Her shoulders tensed. "They will not take me. They won't have a choice," he said carefully. They'll want to interrogate you, cage you. Then I will die here. Not if I speak for you. You think they will care what you say? They damn well better, Mason growled. You saved my life. You're not a prisoner. You're my squad mate. Her eyes widened slightly. You would lie for me? No, I'd fight for you. She blinked slowly. Then for the first time, she smiled. Not the predatory grin she used in battle, but something small and true. I warmed your bed, she said softly, but you warmed my blood. I thought I was dead, but next to you, I remembered life. As the dropship roared overhead, breaking through the sky like a thunderclap, Mason stood and offered her his hand. She hesitated, then took it. Moments later, when the human Marines stormed the tower, rifles raised, Mason stepped in front of her. She's with me, he barked. Harm her, and I swear to God, I'll bury this whole damn squad under the ice. The Marines froze. Recognition flickered. Sergeant Mason? You're supposed to be dead. Yeah, he said. So she. We got better. They didn't understand. Not yet, but they would. As the medics loaded Varkari into the shuttle, Mason climbed in after her, settling beside the warrior who had once begged for life in the only way she knew. She looked at him, her silver eyes soft. I'm still yours, she murmured. He reached for her hand. No, he said quietly. We're each other's now. The doors closed behind them, sealing out the war.